We're going to be learning Sicha Aleph of Vayigash and Chilek Chof. The Lekutei of the Sicha is the Rabbi brings out why Yidden are called with the name Yosef. And the Rabbi is going to bring out what is the greatness, not of Yosef himself, but the greatness of Bnei Yisrael that they have from Yosef, and therefore they are called with the name Yosef. That's the Lekutei of the Sicha. So let's go inside. The Rebbe starts off in Posik, Reye Yisrael Ha'azino, Noi Katzein Yosef. It's a Posik in Tehillim. It's basically a bakosha, a request that the Yidden are asking from the Eibishter, that the Reye Yisrael, who goes on the Eibishter, he's the shepherd of the Yidden, Ha'azino, he should listen. And then there's another expression of the Eibishter, Noi Katzein Yosef, the one who was the Noiheg, was leading just like sheep of Yosef. He should listen. And the pasuk continues on, as we'll soon go on further. Rashi explains, Kol Yisrael Nikroim al Shem Yosef, all Yidden are called on the name of Yosef. Lefi, Shuhu Pinsam V'chilkalam B'meharav, because Yosef fed them and gave them parnasa in the days of hunger. V'yeshteit in the Parshas, it says now, Parshas Vayigash, it says, Vayichalkel Yosef es Aviv ve'es Echov es Gol Beis Aviv lechem lefi atov, that Yosef fed his father's household and all his brothers and their family with the food. That's what says in the Posik, and that's a simple meaning what that says in the Rashi in Tehillim. Bepashtis lernt man, simply the meaning is, Vibalt Yosef hat die Bnei Yisrael gespeist in a Zeit von Hunger, that being that Yosef fed Yidden in the time of hunger, wo das meint as their kiyum, therefore it means that their existence, that they should be able to exist, is given uphanging in Yosef, was basically depending on Yosef, because he fed them. That's why they're called on the name of Yosef. Al Shem Zeh was hat aufgehalten sein Metzias, just because Yosef kept up their existence, therefore they received his name and are called Yosef. The Rebbe explains, der mit is recht loschen Rashi. That's why it's going to be understood according to this Pirush, where Rashi says, Pirnasam b'chilkalam b'mei harav, that Yosef fed them in the days of the hunger. L'cha'ira, the Pasik, Vayichalkel Yosef, which the Rebbe brought before, that wegen dem Zman wenn Yankiv Avonav sind schon given in Mitzrayim. This is already when they came down to Mitzrayim, and at that time is the Shem bottle geworden darauf. The time when Yankiv came to Mitzrayim, there was no more hunger. K'mayim Chazal, as Rashi brings down this Mayim Chazal, Mekivan sheba Yankiv le Mitzrayim, bo bracha v'chila harav. So there's no more hunger. So b'meila, there's a little bit of a question. What does it mean that they're called Yosef? Del Shem Yosef, because he fed them. The feeding was after the hunger. So why does Rashi say that he was the one who fed them in the days of hunger? So the Rebbe, Val Pianal is moving. Val Dafke Lefi Shupinasum B'chilkalam B'mei Harav. The point, why are they called with the name of Yosef in the beginning of the Sikha, before the Rebbe goes into the depth of it? Why are they called the name of Yosef? Because he fed them in the days of the hunger. Eider sie sind in Europa Mitzrayim und haben gekauft Tvur bei Yosef in Mitzrayim. It's before they traveled down to Mitzrayim. Before that time, when they actually came to buy food from him. Und noch ist Talkusse shel Yankiv when Chazar darauf. And after the death, when the hunger came back. That means, in other words, that there was a time and period in the middle that there was no hunger. And that is the simple meaning of the Pasuk, Vayichalkel Yosef, at the time when they were in Egypt, in Mitzrayim, when Yaakov was still alive and there was no hunger. But the Rashi specifies and says, Dafki b'mei harav. Hat man gesehen, wie der Kiyum from Beis Yisrael is given abhängig in Yosef. That's when you saw that their existence was based on what Yosef did for them. Because at the time when Yaakov came down to Mitzrayim, there was no more hunger, so their existence was not based on what Yosef did for them. When was it based on what Yosef did for them? He kept them alive. Was Dafke in the time before they moved into Mitzrayim, when they came down to buy food from Mitzrayim from Yosef, and also afterwards when they were already living in Mitzrayim. But after Yaakov passed away, and therefore the hunger came back, and Yosef fed them then. That is why they have the name of Yosef, because Yosef fed them in a way that he kept up their existence. This is the simple meaning of the reason why Bnei Yisrael are called Al Shem Yosef. Sif Beis, the Rebbe starts asking questions of this, and the Rebbe says as follows: Bedav aber verstehen. Aleph, Far was sollen ihnen ständig angerufen werden mit dem Namen Yosef, mit seiner Poule von Yosef? Why should the Yidden continuously, always, this is a pasuk, it says in Tehillim, that the Lekutei Yosef, Yidden are called in the name of Yosef because of a thing that happened, weil given viel Jahren zurück, freien, a thing that happened many years before, bloß bemeshach von agar kurze Zeit, in only a very short period, the first 2 years of the hunger, because the last 5 years of the hunger, they were already in Mitzrayim. And even after Yaakov passed away, there was a little time only there was a hunger. Short period of time. So that's why Bnei Yisrael should be called with the name of Yosef for the rest of the existence of the Bnei Yisrael. Beis, V'ikir, even a greater question. The Teichen HaKosuf of Tehillim, which the Rebbe begins a Sicha with, Rei Yisrael Ha'azina, Noye Katzein Yosef, Goimer, and then it says Haifia, which we'll talk about. Yosef, it says in the pasuk, Yosef Akruvim Haifia. Yosef Akruvim is again talking about the Eibishter, the one who was Yosef Akruvim. He's sitting it up in the heavens on the Kruvim, or in the Mishkan on the Kruvim. Haifia, he should come and reveal himself. This pasuk is a bakosha was mebeten im Eibishter. We're asking the Eibishter ha'azina and Haifia, that he should listen to us and he should come and reveal himself to us. His presence should be there. That is the token of the pasuk, that we're asking the Eibishter should listen to us and come and be present with us. Was davon ist verstandig, als mit bezeichnen Iden als Yosef, that the reason why and what does it mean that the Yidden are called with the name Yosef is mit bezeichnen Yidden als Yosef, is wird ausgedrückt a Meile von Yidden, welche geht zu as Chus auf Mili Habakoshe von Hazino in Haifia. In other words, what is the pasuk coming to tell you? What is the David HaMelech telling over there? That being that we're requesting that it should be Hazino, that Eibishter should listen to us, and it should be Haifia. Why do we have this bakosha? What right do we have this bakosha? Is because we are called with the name of Yosef. In brackets, the Rebbe says, noch mehr. Von dem, was die Wörter neue Katzein Yosef kommen noch die erste Teil habakosha Rei Yisrael ha'azino. If you look at the pasuk, it's very interesting. The pasuk says Rei Yisrael, and it says what about this going on the Eibishter? What should the Rei Yisrael do? Ha'azino. And then again it says about the Eibishter that he is the Neu Katzein Yosef. L'choire, it should be Rei Yisrael Neu Katzein Yosef Ha'azino. But the pasuk puts in the word Ha'azino right after the words Rei Yisrael, before the words Neu Katzein Yosef. From this, the Rebbe goes as mashma, as the nomen Yosef is a größere Meile wie der Shem Yisrael, which is the beginning of the pasuk. Al kaponim in the dominion hamaduber and the mizmer, concerning what we want to bring out in this mizmer, David HaMelech wants to bring out in this mizmer, there is a greater Meile in the fact that Yidden are called with the name of Yosef over what they are called with the name Yisrael. Why is it like that? What's the raya? It's like that. The Rebbe says, "What they say that tefillah is kimuvan. How do you go and you request and you make a tefillah? Minakal el hakovet. Freier der mont men a kleiner meile. First you say about a smaller meile, a smaller greatness. Und dann noch, ob fragt, ob das ist nicht maspik, if the first mile is not enough, then you add in, is men meisiv a gressere mile. Jeden first are called the name Yisrael, and the Eibishter is the Rei Yisrael, and therefore we're requesting Hazina. And then the pasuk goes on, the Melech goes on, and he says, if the mile of Yisrael is not enough, I'll bring out another greater mile of Bnei Yisrael that are called with the name of Yosef, and therefore what I requested, the Hazina, please, it should be a Hazina. The Mele, the Rebbe comes with the question, the Ike question is nicht moving, mit was ist das was Yosef, Pinnas am Achilkel am Bnei Harav? What is the connection? Because Yosef fed Bnei Yisrael in the hunger days, as Chusa Meile for Klal Yisrael, for Kol Yisrael, das soll Poil sein, al Kaponim helfen in dem Hazina Hoifia. What is the greatness that caused Yosef did such a great thing that he fed Yidden in the time of hunger? That's why the Yidden are called in his name, and that's such a great mile which should bring out that the Eibishter should listen to us. The Eibishter should reveal himself to us. Hoifia. These are the questions that Rabbi asks. Basically, what is the great mile of Yosef's feeding that therefore Yidden are called with his name, and therefore that's even a greater mila, and therefore the Eibishter should listen to our bakasha. And the Rebbe starts explaining. V'yeshleimen nekudas habir bozeh. Jeder Inyan Gashmi hebt sich on. Every Gashmi thing starts, and the Rebbe in parentheses vet nishtalshel. In other words, it comes down from its spiritual source. Das was Pinnas am Achilkel b'mei harav b'pashtis b'gashmiis. The fact that Yosef fed them in the gashmiis, das was the parnosa gashmiis from Beis Yisrael b'mei harav, is given abhängig von Yosef. Why is it that the gashmiis dicke parnosa came from Yosef? Nimmt sich davon was hat sie gespeist b'mei harav beruchnis. This is derived from the fact that Yosef actually fed them in a ruchnisdike way. Rav begashmis is verbunden mit dem Rav beruchnis. The hunger begashmis is because there's hunger beruchnis. As man in matziv von Helen behesten, in a time when godliness is hidden, when es leichen nicht in Gettlichkeit, there's no revelation, no Gilui of Lekutei, und die Meile Miuchedes von Yosef ist, was hat bekoyach zu sein am Achalkel Beruchni ist euch b'mei harav kitele kamam Baruch. And this is the greatness of Yosef, that he had the ability to feed Yidden in a ruchnistic way, as the Rebbe will go on to explain. Und das ist der Pirush HaPnimi, hu pinnesam v'chilkelam b'mei harav. This is the Pirush, the Pnimi is the Pirush, that Yosef fed them in the days of hunger. Yosef hat mashpia gewinnt zu Beis Yisrael von seine Meilis und Chunas Neilis, that Yosef fed Bnei Yisrael his own greatness, great Meilis, and his own Chunas HaNefesh, mit welchem man can überkommen harav, which gives a person the power to withstand hunger. Und hat es in sie reingegeben in an Eufen von Pinnasom Chilkelam. He gave it into them in a way of Parnosse, fed them. Das soll werden Parnosse und Speis. It should become their food, which a food goes into a person in his Pnimius. As es ist rein in sie Pnimius sind geworden, Dam und Bosor Kipsor. A high timer, being that this is what the power of Yosef is, that he fed them beruchnius, and he implanted in them his own way of life, his own tchunas hanefesh. That is why when Eden angerufen, Atzeif Kalador is all the Eden until the end of time, when angerufen b'shem Yosef, mitzadem was pinasam mechilkelam b'mei harav. Weil durch them is by Klal Yisrael eingewurzelt geworden. That's why, because Yosef fed them and he planted him in them, that became eingewurzelt. There were the roots, letomid, the meile von Avodas Yosef. Und der Mitte sagt, moving, for was Eden werden angerufen, Yosef, Davke in dem Mizmer. That's why, Davke in this Mizmer, that in this Mizmer, it brings out the greatness of Yidden that they're called Yosef. Bekesher mit der Bakosha, Rei Yisrael Hazina. What's the connection? So the Rebbe says, weil der Teichen am Mizmer in the Tefillah of the Sholish Goliath, the Teichen of this capital, as the Mefarshim say, is talking about the three Goliaths. Was the far nema b'mizmer zeh sholish pamim. If you look inside, it says 3 times the words Hashivenu, Hor Panecha v'Nimshaya, return us. Und der Iker Schus von Yidden be'ez gelusam. The Iker Schus that a Yid has in time of Golus, to be able to withstand the Golus and have the Geula, is verbunden mit Yosef, was Pirnasam v'chilkelam b'mei harav, Davke with Yosef's Meile, noch mehr wie die Meile von Yisrael, Reye Yisrael, as in the beginning of the Pasuk, Uke de Lakamon, as the Rebbe is going to continue on explaining in the Sicha. Sif Dalet, the Rebbe continues on and says like this, the Hasbara in them, to explain the above mentioned Nekuda, the Rebbe goes on. Yosef hat sich ausgeteilt von die andere Shvatim. What is the difference between Yosef and all his brothers, the other Shvatim? Der Mit, was ist gewesen, der Einziger, was ist gewesen, in Golus bei a Melech Ish und Melech Zor. That Yosef was actually in Golus. Nish Bala Bein Umeis, as it says, Rashi brings down, that he was captured amongst the Goyim. Loime boy, how much more so is it in the Ershensman in the beginning, noch dem Manhurat Mitzrayim, when he was taken down and sold to Mitzrayim by his brothers, als Eved, he was there a slave, beweis Petifar, und danach als Osir, beweis Aseir, he was an Eved in the house of Petifar, and then he was put into jail. Even later on, when he became a Mishnah Lamelech, was then it says that Pari gave him the power of Decho without you. No one is allowed to do anything without your permission. Is er aber gewinn unter der Schlitte v'hanhoge vom Pari. He still was under the leadership and the control of Pari. As it says in the Pasuk, the Pari told him, Hakisei egdel mimeka. Euch sein Schlitte in ganz Eretz Mitzrayim is given als Mishnah Lamelech von Pari. He was only the second. So he wasn't a Golus. In the beginning he was in a real Golus, and even later when he was already a ruler, he was not really a ruler. He was a ruler under the rulership of Pari. Just very interesting a point, just to bring out in Ha'ara 22, I don't have the answer to it, but just to be ma'ira the Elam, in the other 22, the Rebbe brings down from a few places that we see that everything that Yosef did was only to bring it to Pari. That means that even though he was the ruler, he was the Mishnah Lamelech, he was a Mishnah Lamelech, and everything went to Pari. And the Rebbe brings down from the Pasuk, Kapitel Mem Zayin, Yudalet, Vayova Yosef HaKesef Beis Pari. Then he brings down from Pasuk Chof, Kol Admas Mitzrayim, all the land went to Pari. And then he brings down back from Pasuk Yutes, and also Chof Hei, Avodim LePari. Just interesting that first he brings Pasuk Yudalit, then Pasuk Chof, and then back to Pasuk Yutes. Why wouldn't he bring it? Yutes and Chof Hei is the same Pasuk. Why wouldn't he bring Pasuk Yutes before Pasuk Chof? I'm just leaving it over. If anybody wants to look a little bit more be'iyun, maybe you can do that. But let's get back to the Sicha. Und das ist behesem mit dem Chilek zwischen, bepashtes zwischen Chaye v'avedes Yosef, und der Seder Chayim von anderen Shvatim, okimavur bekam mekemes. This is the fundamental difference between Yosef and all the other Shvatim. And the Rebbe goes on and says, the Shvatim sind gewähnt Reyetzein. They were shepherds. Shepherd is abgesundet von den Yoni Ha'elam. They're separated and secluded from world. Welche kennen sie stehen in sehr Avedas Hashem. That's why they were shepherds, to be away from the worldly hoo-ha. Because the world things from the world can disturb the Avedas Hashem. Und euch, besides that, die Melache von Reyetzein forderten keine Anstrengung. The work of being a shepherd is not a great, very, very hard work until you say a very big occupation. That was the Shvatim. Mashenkin Yosef is given Fanumen mit den Yoni Ha'olam. He was very busy with worldly things. Freyer in the beginning, Bebeis Betifan. Then was Vayifkideyu al Beisi v'chol asher yesh lei nasa b'yodei. Everything, till the last little detail, as the Rebbe brings down from the Targum Yenuson, Targum Onkelos and Targum Yenuson Ben Aziel in Ha'ara 24, that even the Mivdak Kisei Chushbene, even the have all the keep all the numbers, everything. He was a bookkeeper. Back to the inside. When he was in prison, it says in the pasuk, anything that had to be done in prison, he was the one who did. So he was very occupied in worldly things. Much more so when is geworden a Mishnah Lamelech, when he became a Mishnah Lamelech. Und hat angeführt mit allen Yonim Mitzrayim. He was the leader and he controlled and everything in Mitzrayim, as it says in the pasuk. Everything will be done based on your word, so you have to be involved in everything. Was ist verbunden mit the größte Tivris? It's a very, very, very busy and very strong occupation. Aber, even though Yosef was very, very involved in all the godly, all the worldly things, Afal Bekein haben die alle Tiddes im Klal nicht mewaldwil gewinnen Avedas Hashem. It had nothing, no effect on him in his actual Avedas Hashem. Und hat gleichzeitig, in the same time, while he was involved in all the worldly things, is gestanden, betachlis hadvekis, he was totally dovok and connected to the Meibishten Solakus. Bei die anderen Shvatim is dvekis ba Hashem given verbunden mit zeir matzav his bodiness. They were also connected and dovuk in Hashem, but only because they were secluded, separated from world. Mit zeir sein abgesundet von Yoni Ha'olam, being separated from world. Umuvan, Azazah Seder Aveda is the matzav von Azazah Seder Aveda is der matzav von Golus. Sein unter der Schlitte von Anazor, Astira und Ster zu Dvekes Ba'Hashem. In other words, by the Shvatim, the only reason why they were able to be Dovek and Hashem is because they were separated from worldly things. That means, in other words, if they would have to do with worldly things, it would have been it would disturb them to have the proper Dvekes in Hashem. That was by the Shvatim. Darf mit der Aveda von Yosef, was euch seindig in der Tiris von Yoni Ha'olam, is verblieben betachlis advekes ba'Hashem, only in such a way that even when you are in worldly things, and you can still overcome them, and still be connected to the Eibishter, can man durche the matzah von Golus. That is the only way you can go through the matzah von Golus. In other words, it brings, as the Rebbe starts bringing out, that Yosef was in Golus. He was put into prison, and he was then, by Petifa first, put into prison, and even when he became a Mishnah Melech, he still was under the rulership of Parei. Only Yosef had the power, because Yosef was so strong, he was able to be Dovuk and Eibishter even while he was involved in worldly things. Mashenkin the Shvatim, worldly things would have disturbed them from their Avodas Hashem. So by them, it was takenat in a matzah from Golus. They were right saying they were separated from worldly things. That is the Lekutei Chilek between the Shvatim and Yosef. Sifhei, the Rebbe goes on, steht, the pasuk says, Eile Tildis Yankev Yosef, which means that Yosef is their hemshech, Tildis von Yankev. Okay, Maimer Azal, Kol Mashir Lezeh, whatever happened to Yankev, happened to Yosef. And the Chazal actually say, many examples, Yankov's brother hated him, Yosef's brothers hated him, and so on. More examples that is brought down in Rashi. Al derech zeh b'inyan hanal. In continuation to what we said, the difference between the Shvatim and Yosef. The Ausgeteiltkeit von Yosef legabe Yaakov, the difference between them was dafke only Yosef is durchgegangen the matzah for Golus. he was able to be in Golus and be connected to with the Eibishter, and it should not have an effect. Golus should not have an effect of him. Is a hemshech. This is a continuation because v'toldes von Yaakov und Zainov to legabe Avraham and Yitzchak. That is a continuation for what Yaakov's power, and therefore he had it from Yaakov, and this is the difference between Yaakov and Avraham and Yitzchak. Und wie wir sehen, der Rebbe goes on, als zwischen den Gimel Oveis ist Yaakov der Einzige, was durchgemacht hat, Sach Jahren in Golus v'Shibud. Also Yaakov was the only one between the three of us that went through many years of Golus. First, the Chof Shana based Lavan, in the house of Lavan, he worked for 20 years. Arbeitnik for him, he worked for him. In an Eifenfun, Hayishi Bayoim, Achalani Chayrev, that even by day, and all the hardships that the Pasuk continues on, Avadaticho, and the Pasuk continues on, he slaved for Esav, for Lavan. Und is given Azoi Meshubet to Lavanin. He was so eved, so to say, he was not an eved, but he was so meshubed. Meshubed means he had a shibud. He had a control over him. Lavan had a control over him. And that's so much. Bis as Lavan hat ihm gesagt, Habonois, Benoisai, your children are my daughters. Everything that you own over here, Liu, belongs to me. Was Azam Matze for Golus v'Shibud. Such a state, I mean. We don't find Gefindmenish by Avraham and Yitzchak, even though they also went through hard periods. But such a state that there should be everything that he owned, love and claim belongs to me, that we find only by Yaakov. Von deswegen hat euch die schwere Golus-Tkufe nicht gepeilt, Störung, this did not have any effect on Chalishes and weaken Chas v'Sholem in the avoided nalis from Yaakov. This Golus had no effect on Yaakov. Yaakov continued on, as it says, Im Loven HaRosha Garti v'Tayag Mitzvah Shamarti, as Rashi brings down in the beginning of the Parsha. Vayishlach. And das ist der Rufte for Yaakov. Why did Yaakov have this power to overcome Golus and not be affected? Midas ha'emes. Because Yaakov is the midas ha'emes. Emes is a meleches in nitoch shayach ken shinuyim. Emes, truth. There's no difference. There's no changes. It's explained many other places that that's the word emes. Aleph mem tov. The first letter of the Aleph base, the last letter of the Aleph base, the middle letter of the Aleph base, the mem. It always is. It's nothing changes. If it's true through and through. Was der Far bleibt mit demselben Tekel? That's why he was able to remain. Being that Yaakov had the Midas Emes, he was able to remain with the same strength und verschiedene Umständen, blishum shinui, in all the different times of his life, without any shinuyim, afilin them golus by Lavan v'chulu, he still had the same strength of doing his avodas Hashem. In the brackets, the Rebbe goes on a little side issue, a side point. The same reasons also in the offspring, the children of the Ovis. Avram, it says, Yotzo, v'nifrad memeni Yishmael. Yishmael went out and separated from the ways of Avram. Yitzchak, we find that Yotzo, v'nifrad memenu Esav. His child Esav separated from his way. Masha'enkin Yankiv, Mitasi Shlema, all the 12 Shvatim or Tzadikim. There's no psul. That's the meaning of the word Yotza Memen. He left him. Nifrad. There's no psul bezarei. Why? What is the Maila of Yankiv that Behimos Mitasi Shlema? Well, this is the Tchuna Maila. This is what is the Midas HaEmes. That's a greatness and the Tchuna of Midas HaEmes. As is a nit shayach in Shina Benetiyah. You can't go off it. That's the truth. Truth, there's no, a little truth, a lot of truth. Truth is truth. So that is the difference between Yankov and Avraham and Yitzchak. So we find the common denominator between Yankov and Yosef. Yankov was in Golus and had no effect on him. Yosef was in Golus and had no effect of him. We'll soon see the continuation to the Sicha. Afal Pekain, is faran achiluk ikri zwischen Yankov and Yosef. Even though there is the common denominator, still there's a major difference between Yankov and Yosef. Bis, as der Iker Koyach von Ayiden, where does a Yid derive his strength? Der Iker Koyach was jeder Yid hat, auf kennen durch in der Golus, where does a Yid derive his strength? To be able to go through the hardships of Golus and remain strong in his avodas Hashem, bekommt man Davke von Yosef and Kedila Kaman. And the Rebbe continues on. Sivov, the Chilek bepashtes zwischen Golus Yankov and Golus Yosef, even though both of them were in Golus as mentioned before, what is the difference? There's a main difference. By Yankov is, first of all, in the brackets, the Rebbe says, Noisef of them, this is we're going to bring out an additional point. But first of all is, Aleph, sein Shibut zu Lovon is bestanden bloß in dem, was gearbeitet für Lovon. He wasn't a slave. He was a poil, a worker, a roya, a shepherd. Is a Rabbi nicht gewinnt kenevet. He wasn't a slave. Whereas Yosef was a slave. Beis, the second difference is, Asof Kosov is Lovan nit gewinnt kin Izor. He was a worker. Where? By Lovan, who was his uncle. As it says in the Pasuk, Atzmi of Soriata, you're part of my flesh and blood. Mashenkin Yosef was a slave, but Potiphar was not his relative at that time. In prison, by Paroi. That is a difference between Yosef and Yankov. But the point which is negay over here is what the Rebbe continues on after the brackets, as euch seinen dicken Golus by Lavon, is nit gewen a reingetonnen in Yoni Ha'olam. Yes, he worked for Lavon, and he was a Rayit Zain, but he wasn't submerged in the worldly things. Euch dorten is gewen, as we look in the Haftarah of Parshas Vayishlach, Vayivrach Yankov b'stei in the fields. It was a Rayit Zain, and we mentioned before, like the Shvatim. Rayit Zain was, they wanted to be separated from worldly things. So Yankov was in Golus. Yes, in that point, Yankov is different than the Shvatim. The Shvatim were not in Golus, and Yankov was in Golus. But what was Yankov doing in Golus? Was a Rayit Zain. Was his Kanal an Avoida, bei welches me ken bleiben behizbodedes von den Yoni Ha'olam. You can still be separated and not submerged in Yoni Ha'olam. And the Rebbe brings down in Order 42, the famous Medrash, that all the 20 years that Yankov was in the house of Lavan, he didn't sleep at all. What did he do? It says he said the Tehillim, he said the Tezvav Shira Mailes, it's a very famous Medrash. Und der Tamlaze, weil Yankov is Tachlis HaKdusha v'Ha'oir. Because Yankov is the ultimate Kedusha. In ganzen Heche von Choshech HaGolus. It's higher from the whole concept of Choshech HaGolus. Beloshen Achsidus, it says that Madreges Yankov is Olam HaAtzilus. Olam HaAtzilus, it says in the Pasuk, Achsidus brings it down, was is Lo Yegurcha Ra. There is no bad in there. Kule Toiv, Atzilus is Kule Kedusha, Kule Elikus. The mixture of Ra starts in Olam HaBriya. So Yankov is from Olam HaAtzilus, and therefore he was totally higher from the whole Choshech HaGolus. Dort nitak in Choshech, over there is no darkness, verstelle or covering of Evgetlichkeit. Was das ist der Chilek zwischen Yankov und the Shvatim. We're saying that both of them, Yankov and the Shvatim, were both Rayit Zain. But there's still a difference between Yankov being a Rayit Zain and the Shvatim being a Rayit Zain. Und das, was die Shvatim sind gewähnt, Rayit Zain, is given atnua from precious from Welt. Why? They were separated from the world. Why? Kedei din Yoni Ha'olam sollen sie nicht sterben. In order that worldly things should not disturb them. For das Gufa beweist, they had to be separated from worlds in order that the worldly things should not have an effect on them. That in itself shows as the Yoni Ha'olam have matfis mokim. Worldly things have an existence. And therefore, it could have had an effect on them. It could have disturbed them. And that's why in their far, muss man sich sein für sie Peter sein. That's why they had to separate themselves and go away from worldly things, being that the worldly things have it means something, and therefore it can have an effect. That is the Shvatim. The Oves, in the particular what you're talking about over here, Yankiv is soon going to bring out. The Oves said, they were be'etzem higher. Und wie bald das sehr Madrege bei Avodas Hashem is in an Eufen von Kuli Eure Kedusha, their Avodah was that they were totally in Atzilus, totally Kedusha, is kein Shum Tfisis Mokim, und kein Shum Tfisis Mokim for dem Koshech von den Yoni Eilam and all worldly things had no worth, it didn't mean nothing. He says, B'mele given as Euchen sehr Gashmi is the Keleben. That's why it resulted in the Gashmis Aleb Mazay given Reit saying Hechef Yoni Eilam. In other words, they did not become Reit saying because they wanted to run away from world. By the Shvatim, they became Reit saying because they wanted to run away from world. They were afraid that worldly things will have an effect on them. They ran away from it. By the Oves, it's not they were Reit saying because they wanted to run away from worldly things. Worldly things did not even Tevis Mokim, had no meaning to them. And as a result of that, they were Rayet saying, but not because they wanted to run away, because worldly things would have no effect on them, because they were higher for worldly things. And there it goes on, and he says, and even more so by Yankiv, this is brought out, because as mentioned before, Avram and Yitzchak were not so much in Golus as Yankiv's life had all these problems. But by Yankiv, it never brings out. Even when he was in the Golus over there, is nit given shaykh beim kenin von cheshech ha'olam. There was no concept and no possibility of darkness of world, of the worldly things having an effect on him. And as geblieben b'havdole, he was said while he was there, he remained separated and higher. B'roimim is von dem Golus. Und der Far, euch gibt schon der Reitzein. Again, like I said before, not that he was a Reitzay because he wanted to run away from Golus. He was a Reitzay because it was an automatic result of where he is. He is higher than world, and being higher than world, there was a Reitzay. Und auch der Ingen, als euch wenn Yankiv is higher than Golus, is behavdola. This point, that even when he goes into Golus, he is separated from world, hechet from Golus, drikt sich aus in them, where is it expressed? Als B'shas es kommt zu einem Milchome zwischen Yankiv mit Sorish Esav, when he met in Parshas Vayishlach the son of Esav, es ist given eines Hapkes zwischen Yankiv and Menagid. There was a scuffle between Yankiv and something with a Menagid. What says in the Pasuk? Sorisa im Elakim ve'im anoshim atuchol. That you are a sar, you are so higher than them, so stronger, that you are example like a sar. Yankiv Verter sar. Sar is a minister, a balabayis, Eifem Menagid. Biz asori shalesav aliyeh alein ot muz medezain lo Yankiv yomer shimcha kim Yisrael ki sorisa. The Esav's sar, the sar of Esav was made to Yankiv. Bal derech zeh ben Yankiv hat Jered given Mitzrayim, is nice when Yaakov came down to Mitzrayim, is nice of this an addition, was geblieben abgesundet from Mitzrayim. Al derech hanal bebeis Lavan, he was in Mitzrayim, separated from Minyani of Mitzrayim, exactly as it was in the house of Lavan. He was sitting be'eretz Goshen, which is Meitav Haaretz, the best part of the land, which is separated from Eretz Mitzrayim. Is in addition to that, is Vayivorech Yankiv es Parei. What was the blessing Yankiv Parei? Rashi brings down Shiyale Nilus L'Raglav, that when Parei came to the Nilus came out to greet him, so to say, or Mashkis Oras, and the water flowed into Mitzrayim. We know Mitzrayim does not rain, and you had to feed, the water had to be brought from the Nilus to the fields. So when Parei came there, the Yankiv's bracha was that the Nilus should come by itself to the feet of Parei and be mashke and feed and bring water to the land. Which means, in other words, as Yankiv is dervos is mevorach es Parei, he's the one who gives the blessing. Bis Parei zolan erkennen And until so far that even Pari will recognize that the Parnasa for Mitzrayim, which comes from the Nilus, was vert al yidei Nilus, was oilo mashke comes and brings water to the fields, is uphanging in berchose shel Yankiv. It depends on the bracha of Yankiv, and this is, as I mentioned before, because Yankiv Sarisa Melakim Manoshim, because he was so separated from worldly things. Worldly things did not have any effect on him. He was so high, none of it didn't have an effect. Lechatchila was not Tevis Mokim. Therefore, he had the power to bring the bracha to Mitzrayim, to Pare, to have this the Parnasa come through him. The Rebbe continues on now to bring out now. What is the greatness of Yosef? That was the beginning of the Sicha. We're saying over here that there must be a greatness in the fact that Yidden are called Yosef over the fact that they're called Yisrael. Right now, till now, we're talking about the greatness of Yankiv. What is the greatness of Yosef? Because we're trying to bring out the difference of Yankiv and Yosef. And the Rebbe continues on, and that's the Uftu von Yosef. By Yosef is given a Yeride in Golus. Beoifen als gekommen unter der Schlitte von Potiphar und noch Pare. Yosef did go down into Golus, and he was controlled, and he was by Potiphar, and then in prison, and then by Paroi. Not like Yankiv, who was not affected at all by the world, who had no connection to the worldly things. Yosef did have a connection. Und afal pikein is euchen azam matzev is geblieben betachlis hadvekis in the Lekutei. Even in such a state, he was totally connected with the Eibishter. Und my high timer is der koyach was jeder Eid hat auf durchgehen in Inyan Golus, the koyach that we have today, was by jeder Yidin is the Inyan Golus kipshutei tachas memshelas omais. By every Yid the Golus is kipshutei. It's not like by Yankiv that we are higher than the whole Inyan of Golus. The world doesn't even mean nothing to us. We are in Golus. Where do we have the koyach to overcome this hardship and be able to be dovok and do the Eibishter's Ratzon? Nehmt sich beikir von Yosef and Dafke. It's only because Yosef implanted, as the Rabbi said at the beginning of the Sicha, implanted that feeling, Ruchni is the feeling into us. Was dem Koyach hat Yosef reingegeben in Yidden, he gave it into every Yid, durch dem was Pinnasom bechilkelam b'me'arav, as we said before, that Pinnasom bechilkelam, he fed them the Gashmias, because he fed them Beruchnias. Was hat Mashpia gewen b'chol ha'shvotim, von sein Meile Madrege, he actually was Mashpia all that into the Shvotim, from his Meile, as the Rebbe said before in Siv Gimel. Well, Yidei Zeh is a snimshach geworden levneim achareim, because Yosef fed to the Shvatim. Therefore, it came to their offsprings of the Shvatim, all the days after the Shvatim, to kol echad ve'echad mi Yisrael, to every individual at save kol haderes. As the Rebbe brings out in order 53, that Yankiv and the Shvatim themselves were not under the shibud of Mitzrayim, and therefore they themselves, if so to say, did not need this hashpah from Yosef, which we're discussing over here in the Sicha. Still, they needed the hashpah from Yosef because of their children, which they will be affected by the Golus, as the Rebbe explains in the Sicha in order 53. Und das ist euch der Seder Abakoshes in the Mizber Rei Yisrael Ha'azina Neu Katzein Yosef. That is, we're getting back to the beginning of the Sicha, what the Dober Melech said. First, he calls the Eibishter Rei Yisrael, bringing out that the mile of a Yid that they're called Yisrael, and therefore Ha'azina. But he adds on that in order that it should be Ha'azina, I want to bring out another greater mile from Yidden. Neu Katzein Yosef, that they are like Yosef. B'shas Yidden sagen not Tfila. Auf dem Inyan HaGolus, but they're asking that it shall sein hashivenu ehoir panecha v'nevesheya, that the Eibusha should return us and shine upon us. Sagt man frie de Meile, first we bring out the Meile von jeder Yidden als Yisrael. That a Yid has the Meile of Sarisa Melakim v'manoshim atuchol. You are sar, you are like a sar over the world. But das ist the Meile was jeder Yid hat bei Yerusha von Yankiv. As mitzat pnimius hanefesh, that every Yid mitzat the etzem of his pnimius hanefesh is asar finyoni ha'olam. Golus. He is a sar, he's a minister. Ubemele, being I'm such a high level, a Yid is a high level of his Yisrael, Montmin Hazina. We asked the Rebbe to listen. The noch sagt man dem Hecher Nili. Then the Pasuk goes on to the Melech says, Noi Katzein Yosef. We're bringing out over here dem Ili von Yosef. Was is Faran b'chol echad ve'echad, this greater Meile that every Yid has. Was mitzad dem is afilu v'yidin zenin in dem cheshech ve'helem ve'hester ha-golus. They are in Golus. Still, if we have this Meile of Yosef, it does nicht mevalvel ze dveikis b'Hashem, it does not have effect on our dveikis, und ze zenen ganz in their Yiddishkeit, our Yid remains strong and whole in his Yiddishkeit. Was durch dem is nicht nur, was is mevatel dem Golus, nor mit trocht rein dem Aleph, alufi shalelem in Golus gufe, and from the word Golus wird Geula. Der Golus Gufe wird nepach li Geula. Before we finish the Sicha, just bring out what the Rebbe says in Ha'orah 57. In Ha'orah 57, the Rebbe talks about it, which the Rebbe started explaining before in Ha'orah 24, in Ha'orah 11. The continuation of the pasuk, as I mentioned in the beginning, is Yeshiv Hakruvim Haifiyah. So this is what the Rebbe brings out over here, which he actually began in Ha'orah 11. That in Ha'orah 11, the Rebbe says over there that because first it says Ha'azina before the words Katzein Yosef. The Rebbe over there points out is mashma that the chiddush of the continuing part of the pasuk Yoshev Akruvim Heifiyah is also connected to this Heisafa of Noe Katzein Yosef. Again, being that the pasuk breaks it up, it says Rei Yisrael Ha'azina Noe Katzein Yosef, which simply means a continuation, as if it would have said Raya Yisrael, Noi Katzein Yosef Ha'azina. We're putting it all together. But the end of the day is the word Ha'azina says in the middle. So Ha'azina can go to the whole continuation of the pasuk. Ha'azina, and then we bring out another point. Noi Katzein Yosef, and Yosef Akruvim Haifiyah. So the Rebbe brings out another 11 that the chidush of the Bakosha Yeshiv Akruvim Haifiyah is also coming in connection to the Noe Katzein Yosef. That means that the word Noe Katzein Yosef is also an introduction to why you should be Yeshiv Akruvim Haifiyah. Because we have a greater Maila. Mitzad, the Maila of Rei Yisrael, all we're asking is Hazina. Then the pasuk goes and says, we have such a greater Maila, the Maila of Noe Katzein Yosef, that we are Yosef. So not only is it also a continuation to before, that therefore it should be Azina, but it should also be Haifiyah. Now what is the pshat over here? This is what the Rebbe concludes over here in Ha'orah for 57. That being that we have the power of Yosef, the power of Yosef is that what? That not only like by Yankiv Yisrael that become higher, separated, we are be'etzem higher from world. Not even when we are in world, even when we are in the Golus, even then we have this great Maila that we are connected with the Eibishter, and therefore we can remain strong in our Yiddishkeit. Therefore we have the continuation. Yoshev Akruvim Haifiyah. Haifiyah means even more than Hazina. Hazina means you can stand there and you can listen. Haifiyah means we're asking the Eibishter, you come, your presence in itself should be here. The Atzma Seder itself should be here. And this is what the Rebbe concludes. This brings the ultimate redemption. Amen. The Rebbe should help, should be speedily in our days.